All right, today we're going inside the machine. We are literally going to look at the blueprint for building a digital economy from the ground up. The rules, the supply, the whole master plan that's supposed to give a digital coin its value.
I mean, just stop and think about that question for a second. When you create a new digital currency, you're not just writing some code. You're basically becoming a central bank, an economic planner, and a community builder all rolled into one. It is a massive, incredibly deliberate act of economic design. So, to see how this all works in the real world, we're going to follow a very specific blueprint, the economic model for TOIN. That's the native coin of the TOIN blockchain. This will be our case study, our guide for deconstructing how one of these digital economies is actually put together. Okay, so first things first. To deconstruct this blueprint, we have to start with the absolute basic building block of the entire system, the coin itself. What is it really, and what's supposed to make it valuable in the first place? So what exactly is TOIN? Well, it helps to think of it less like a dollar and more like, say, digital fuel. See, as the native coin of the TOI blockchain, it's the thing that powers every single action happening on that network. Every transaction, every app, every little interaction, it all runs on TOIN. It's the lifeblood. Now, a huge part of this blueprint is the total supply. There will only ever be around 50 billion TOIN. And that is not an accident, it's what they call a hard cap that's written directly into the code. It can't be changed. Just like gold or a super rare limited edition collectible, this built-in scarcity is one of the absolute fundamental pillars of its whole economic design. But here's where the plan gets really interesting. While the maximum supply is 50 billion, the number of coins that will actually be out there in circulation by 2025, it's projected to be only around 2 billion. That's a tiny fraction. This shows you the plan isn't to just flood the market. No, it's a very deliberate, slow-release strategy that's designed to play out over decades. So that begs the question, right? If only 2 billion of the 50 billion coins are around at the start, who gets them? This initial allocation is so critical. It's a lot like how a startup distributes its first shares of stock. It tells you everything about who holds the power and what the project's real priorities are. And this chart really lays out those priorities perfectly. Just look at the two biggest slices of the pie. 30% goes to validators. Those are the folks running the computers that secure the whole network. And then almost 21% is set aside for the community and ecosystem. This tells you the main focus is on network security and long-term growth, not just making early investors rich. But there's a super important rule tied to all of this. It's called vesting. This is a huge deal. It basically prevents the team or the early backers from just selling all their coins on day one and disappearing. Instead, their coins get unlocked gradually, piece by piece over several years. It's a powerful mechanism designed to make sure everyone is focused on one thing, the long-term success of the project. Okay, so we've covered the supply and who gets the first coins. But that's really only half the story. For a coin to have any real sustainable value, it needs a purpose. It needs to have actual jobs to do inside its own economy. In the crypto world, we call this utility. And TOIN has 5 of these core jobs. First, you've got the basics. It's used to pay for transaction fees and to fuel the smart contracts. Those are the apps built on the blockchain. Then it's crucial for securing the network through staking, which lets users earn rewards. It also has this really important economic job through the fee burn, which actually reduces the supply. And finally, the plan is for it to enable governance, giving holders a real vote on the network's future. Each one of these jobs creates a real reason for people to hold and use the coin. Now we get to the real engine room of this economy. It's monetary policy. This is the master plan, right? It's the set of rules that governs the coin supply over time, constantly trying to manage that delicate balance between encouraging growth and maintaining scarcity. The TOI network uses what's called a disinflationary model. Now, that's a fancy-sounding term, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. The rate at which new coins are created, the inflation rate, it starts out a bit higher to encourage that early growth, but then it slows down and slows down and slows down over time. It's a clever way to reward the early participants while making sure the coin becomes even more scarce down the road. The entire model really comes down to this constant balancing act. It's like a tug of war. On one side, you have an inflationary force. New coins are minted to be given out as staking rewards, which encourages people to secure the network. But on the other side, you have this deflationary force. A piece of every transaction fee gets burned, which means it's permanently destroyed, gone forever. This removes coins from circulation. These two forces are always working against each other, designed to create a stable, predictable economic environment. So, with all this complex economic machinery working in the background, what does it all mean for you, the actual user? I mean, how can you participate in this thing directly?
Well, this is where staking comes in. You can actually lock up your TOIN to help a validator secure the network. It's kind of like putting your money in a special savings account that helps the bank stay secure and functional. And in return for providing that help, you, the delegator, you get to earn rewards.
And here is the real, tangible incentive. By actively participating in the network and staking your coins, users can potentially earn an annual yield of around 5 to 7%. This isn't just some abstract number. It's a direct reward for contributing to the health and security of the entire ecosystem that you're a part of. Which kind of brings us full circle, back to the blueprint as a whole. You've got a capped supply, you've got long-term vesting, clear utility, and this constant balancing act between inflation and deflation. So the final question really is this. Is this kind of detailed, deliberate economic planning? Is this the blueprint for all successful digital economies of the future? Something to think about.